due to possible harmful extremist content. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of the station, its affiliates, or advertisers. The use of the show is only allowed with the express written permission of the producer and the host. So get ready for 2 hours of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show starting right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday night edition for January 7th, 2026. And wouldn't you know it, we've got a very special guest in with us tonight. We've got Brent Hamachek from humanevents.com, humanevents.com. Brent, Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Happy New Year to you as well. I'm Dandy. I'm here from my new studio set up in Venezuela. Just
Excellent.
kidding. Yeah. I'm thinking of
it's safer than Chicago.
Relocating, you know. I understand that soon Venezuela might be more free than the state of Illinois, which is where I do live. So maybe
Exactly.
It's a sensible move.
The crime rate's about half.
Yeah. I think there could be some real benefits. I could be like a pioneer.
Mm-hmm. Well, good for you. I look forward to that. Maybe we'll come down and visit you next winter if it all works out well for you.
That'd be great. I'll keep you posted.
Excellent. So last time we had you on, I told you that when I brought you back, I would ask you about what you thought some of the most significant stories from last year were. And I don't know how much time you've given that, or I don't know if you have a list in front of you with detailed notes, or if you just kind of have some ideas on the top of your head. Obviously, what happened to Charlie was right up there. Not according to Time Magazine, of course, who had completely ignored it from their list. But, your good friend Charlie, what a tragedy there. But I don't know, anything you want to say on that?
Look, with regard to the Charlie thing, there's different ways to measure the size and impact of stories. And I think in terms of a story, it is, I don't know how you can argue that it wasn't the biggest story of the year. I mean, that just seems to be objectively true. It was the biggest story of the year. And it's also the most likely publicly individual tragic story of the year. Why do I say it the way I said it? Well, anytime that one human being murders another human being, murder being by definition unjustifiable homicide, that's a tragedy. And it doesn't matter if you started a national organization or if you just watched one on TV in your home. So from that sense, the tragedy is no bigger than any of those others. But from a public standpoint, of course, it is the biggest. Is it the most important story of the year? There, I would argue it isn't, and not for some sort of cynical reason. One of the things we talked about, I believe in October when I was on your show, is we talked about the impact of this and how. Remember, we had people saying, well, this was going to be the biggest thing for the Republican Party and they're going to, change the country and so on. And I pointed out at that time that the last time something like this happened in America was when Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. We've had other political people shot, but not assassinated. And right after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, who was a bigger figure than Charlie Kirk, different era, but a bigger national figure. Right after that, Richard Nixon was elected president. And so the idea that somehow or other, all of the energy that was brought together and formed and came about because of and in the aftermath of Charlie's shooting certainly didn't lead to some great Republican success in November. It doesn't seem to portend any sort of great Republican success in the future. And if you look at what's going on, and I'm going to get to a minute of what I think is the most important story of this past year. I'll get there, I promise. But just wrapping up.
All right, we got an hour, man. Take your time.
Yeah. So just wrapping
So we
up.
love the
though,
long format, right?
Yeah, I love the long format because I'm elderly and it takes me a long time to say things. As your audience saying, get to the point. I'm not sure what it is. That's why it takes me a long time. The Charlie piece, tragic, significant as an event, the biggest single event of the year, but not the most important story, because in this country, things don't stick very well. And, we saw that years ago when I was on your show, first getting started, and we talked about Russia and Ukraine and the American outrage and America supporting Ukraine. One of the things I said on your show and elsewhere is, if we're going to get involved, we better end it quickly because American people are going to get tired of it and bored. And of course they have, right?
Yeah.
So that's it on the Charlie thing. What do I think was the most important story of last year? It's a story that nobody actually covered as a story, but it's the most important story of the year. And that is the fracturing that we see within what I call Team Right. Team Right is coming apart at the seams. And of course, we saw a lot of that in the aftermath, and it's still going on in Charlie's death. So it's not because of Charlie, but it's one of the places where we see the split manifesting. And we look at the whole Candace Owens drama with regard to Turning Point and Israel, Tucker Carlson jumping on board with, the Israeli thing. Some people say, well, they're just asking questions. Questions are interesting things, aren't they? Sometimes it depends on what is the question you're asking. For example, if somebody says, why did Adolf Hitler go after and exterminate Jewish people? That's one question. Somebody could also say, what did Jewish people do to cause 6 million of them to be killed? Sounds a little bit like the same question, but it's not, because it's how I'm asking it. So this is a fragment of it, but it's fracturing everywhere. I think that it's fracturing to some extent over ICE, not about deporting people, but how they're going about it. I think you're going to see it fracture some more over Venezuela. I think you'll see it fracture more, by the way, if Trump gets involved in Iran, if Trump ends up sending peacekeeping troops into Ukraine, something he's mentioned. We've seen it fracture over the tariffs issue. We've seen it fracture over the H-1B visas, right? I think I said that right. Every time I go to say it, I always want to confuse it with hepatitis. The point is, the point is this, and this is why I think it's the biggest story. And I'll let you take a breath and say something after this. After the election of November of last year, when everyone was all excited about the sweeping change taking place in the country, we talked about it on your show. Donald Trump got 49.8% of the vote. In this thing that was called a mandate, there was no such thing. He didn't even get a majority of the popular vote. And his election result was very pedestrian compared to the results of the last 12. So the hopeful change that people thought was going to happen after 4 years of really not having a president, right? During the Biden administration, we didn't have a president. We all know that. Even his supporters admit that now. There was an idea that maybe now America would really, truly reverse course. And I would suggest to you that the fracturing we're seeing within the very small base that he had in the first place is the most significant story of the year, because it portends the most ominous future for America as we go forward.
Wow. I see this fracturing as big as well, but I don't know if I see it as significant as you do. as going as deep.
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, we're all really, really, really happy that Kamala didn't win and Tim Walz isn't the vice president. And when we start putting up the two options on the table, you got the Zohan Mamdani socialism going on, the Democratic Socialist Party, and then you got the MAGA wing, you know? And I don't know, gosh, I was watching some old South Park where the future was everyone was atheist, right? But they were still having these huge wars over what their name should be, the Atheist Alliance Association or the Atheist League or the Atheist whatever, and they went to war over that, but they all believed everything exactly the same, right?
Right.
So it just kind of goes to show you that, like, even when things are pretty good, people are still going to infight over what can somewhat be, I don't want to say trivial, but differences of opinions that at the end of the day, it's not, hey, should we be communists or should we be socialists? It's should we have gone into Venezuela and taken out, the top 4 guys, the 5 guys, or just the 1 guy, So I hope that you're incorrect there, but you might not be, Brent. Brent, you're a better prognosticator than I am at the end of the day, which is why I'm not even going to ask you who's going to win the 2026 midterms.
Yeah, right. No, I don't get to predict elections anymore. I mean, when I was wrong in 20, as I said, when I was wrong in 2024 for the first time in my adult life, I don't get to pick elections anymore. When you lose once,
I feel a little bit of guilt. I feel a little bit of guilt about that because you were on my show when you made that big prediction. So.
Well, I made it everywhere, and I didn't make it loud and strong. It sounded like I was screaming about it, but I was wrong. So I'm now disqualified from elections. And I want to stick on what you said.
Partially wrong, to be fair.
Yeah. So I want to take a couple of things you said, though, because it's interesting. First of all, I would suggest that comparing Trump to the alternative Harris, which is what even my high school friends in our old man texting group that's active every day, even they do the same thing. They'll say, well, yeah, but he was better than Harris. Okay, got it. I mean, I voted for him in November of 2024. That is absolutely, positively, 100% and completely and totally irrelevant because he beat Harris. That's over. All that matters is what's in front of us. So that choice was made. So he doesn't get to govern on the idea that he was better than Harris, and his supporters don't get to say, but he's better than Harris would have been. That's not relevant. What is relevant is what is happening now and next. That's what matters. So let's get rid of the Harris comparison because he beat her. That's gone. You're spot on when you talk about how there are always differences. And that's very true and always have been within parties, within nations. There's no question. So I agree with that. Why do I think this split is particularly important? I don't think it's different than those in the past. I think it's more important than those in the past. And that's because of the moment in time in which we sit. So this country, over a very long period of time, has been increasingly finding itself in higher levels of debt, less respected around the globe, increasingly clamping down on individual liberties, finding new and better ways to control its people, created a medical system that is corrupt at best and almost murderous at worst between the hospitals and the pharmaceutical companies. So we sit in a different moment of time than we did in 1960 or 1940 or 1987. We're sitting here now. And if this very fragile coming together of people that seemed to wanted to restore some sense of America, if that fragments and falls apart, it will be very difficult to rebuild it in any short amount of time. And oh, by the way, when you take a look at our national debt, when you take a look at our international currency situation, when you take a look at all of that, you have to wonder how much time we have to reverse it if we lose it. And that's why I think it's the biggest story.
Mm-hmm. And can we even reverse it? Even with Trump in office, I don't see him even trying to slow down the spending.
No.
I see him really making no effort whatsoever to balance a budget or do anything even close to that, which is kind of sickening. It's kind of bad.
Yeah, it is. Here's something fun to kick around that'll get everybody probably in the audience mad at me, which I never mean to do, but I'm always fearful of it. But if we understand what socialism is, which is centralized, the centralized union of big business and big government to plan, organize, and to plan, manage, and oversee economic, political, and social activity. All right. Simple definition of socialism. That's what it is. If we think of that definition and we take a look at this administration, I would argue, I don't even do this in some negative way. I would just argue and say very factually that Donald Trump is a socialist. He is. That's okay. Most Americans are. They just don't want to admit it because they don't understand it. So most Americans are socialists. And the question is, what kind of socialist are you, right? Mm-hmm. So Trump's not a socialist, perhaps, as much as Joe Biden would have liked to have been if he'd only had a brain. The great scarecrow president.
Sure.
But nonetheless, if you just step back and objectively look at his policies, virtually everything he does involves large government, bringing in players from large business, and working to set up economic, political, or social policy, oversee it. So we're living in the age of socialism. We have been for over 200 years, since the early part of the 19th century. We're still living in it. And the question is, how socialist are we going to be? How quickly? How much? And what can we do to preserve free markets and first principles? And I would argue that's the tenuous path that we've been on of losing them. And this is why I fear this fracture that we're seeing, because, again, of when it's happening. And I know the better answers are, I think tariffs are the biggest story of the year. Or, I think, what's gone on in Ukraine and the failed attempts to settle that, a biggest story of the year. On and on. But stories become important to me in terms of their impact, as I see it, on what happens next. So that's why I picked what I picked.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll move on to another story last year that just came out at the very end of the year, which is the Nick Shirley expose in Minneapolis, right? Minnesota, turns out, they changed their flag to the Somali flag, more or less, right?
Right.
It's shocking how, and I asked you this a while ago, and I was kind of sarcastically like, what's in the water out there? What's going on? Yeah. And you just told me it's kind of a H-hole. It seems like they've got their fingers in this thing all the way up to the governor, and he is guilty as can be. He's not running for re-election. He just announced this week. Nick Shirley, of course, put out a response saying, this is because of me, ha-ha, kind of attitude. But he could be right. It took one citizen journalist, age of 23, to go out there, knock on these doors, and expose, $110 billion in one day of just looking around. Where has the government been? How has this been allowed to happen? And is this even bigger in Chicago? Is it even bigger in New York, in LA? And we know in Seattle it's turning, out to be huge. Ohio's another hot spot. This must be happening everywhere. Man, if we can expose this and get rid of this kind of level of fraud on a state by state by state level, can that turn things around, man? Can governments finally start saying, hey, maybe we don't need to do an income tax anymore because we've just been pissing this money away to fraud anyway, and half of it ends up in Somalia. Somalia's economy is $12 billion, and we're talking about, them repatriating probably a fourth of their economy every year. It's staggering numbers. So what do you think?
It
Is there hope here? Is this a good thing, or is this just going to get washed away like everything else, and 4 people will be called to account?
One of the things I love about your show and the questions that you ask is that the show is long and the questions are massive. So that is a massive question you just asked. There's a lot of parts to that. So,
okay.
We have to keep in mind that a good amount of what we're seeing relates to all the China flu relief money and that whole piece. It was easy to see what was going to happen with that. You go back to 2020, back when I was writing for Charlie Kirk. I mean, we wrote a column right away when they were coming up with the whole China flu bailout programs about what was going to happen. I mean, you want a prediction. That was an easy one. There was going to be massive fraud. And I've seen it in the business community in which I live. So, but as to the rest of it, will this be a way to sort of balance budgets, reduce taxes, cure our fiscal improprieties? Sadly, no, because the frauds in their magnitude of dollars are only fractions of what we're spending. So we'll swipe left on that one, as I just swiped right, but maybe on the screen it looked left. So it's not going to cure anything. But your other question about how does this happen? And, the governor seemingly involved. And look, dude, Walt's a bad guy. We know this. He's a bad actor. Of course, most people that get to that high level in office in this country are bad actors. It's how they get there. Very hard to be a principled, decent person and win a meaningful office because people with money and influence are helping the other guy, right? The one that isn't decent in principle. So, but when you take a look at this money and the Somalian connection, and from inside the state of Minnesota, you just really have to understand how despicable this is. There aren't quite words for it. I think we overuse the treason word a lot. Trump overuses it. His opponents overused it. I would use it here. And I would think that if as this investigation unfolds, I, as somebody who's not in favor in general of the death penalty, if we find people who knowingly, deliberately, and we can clearly prove it, that they took part in funneling our dollars into Somalia, I would be in favor of their execution. And I'd be in favor of it being done publicly, because that is treason. And the idea that government officials could be involved in aiding and abetting it makes it even worse. And finally, you ask about New York City, you ask about Chicago. Of course, we're going now that the layers of the onion have started to be peeled back. Of course, we're going to find that it exists there. Say, will it will be worse? Well, how do you measure worse? Dollar amount per capita? I don't know. Does it matter if it's worse? I don't even think we should use that word. That's not even relevant. Oh, it's not as bad as Minnesota. Oh, it's worse than Minnesota. It's treason. And it is an abuse of every American citizen that is told that they must pay their government and is suggested to that they should respect their government. So, like everything else,
we've got about 25 seconds left.
Yeah, like everything else, I don't feel strongly about it.
Okay.
But,
well, the reason I say it might be bigger in Chicago is, if you've flown into the two cities, Chicago is a much, much bigger place than Minneapolis. If you numerous high rises and whatnot, and New York is it makes Chicago look like a postage stamp. So you just got to wonder how deep this stuff is going on. But folks, we've got to take a break. With me tonight, we got Brent Hamachek from humanevents.com, who will be returning right after we come back from these messages.
All right, we are on radio break.
All right. Sorry to pack so much in there. You did a great job unpacking it, though.
No. I love your questions. They're great. I hope my unconventional answer to your story of the year wasn't bad, but
I liked it. Yeah, I did.
There's to me, it's always about what's gonna. If we're taking a look at the movement of history, things do alter trajectories, but not much does. And as a general rule, the bigger the incident appears, like the bigger the flash, the less impact it has on trajectory. There's exceptions to that. I mean, the Archduke Ferdinand getting shot in 1914, single big incident, enormous inflection point in history, right, leading to the First World War. Sure. But otherwise, it's things that are more that generate more just inertia, and then change the slope of the directionality, change the slope of the curve.
Yeah.
So different way to look
Brent,
at it.
I wanted to really quick let you know something, man. Last night, I shit you not, last night, Candace Owens came to me in a dream, and she told me she was born a man. And I'm going to be dropping files in about a month from now to prove this, but yeah.
I think that's good. Now you're sure it was Candace Owens and not Michelle Obama.
Gosh, they look alike, don't they? Yeah.
Well, wait, got to be careful saying that. Don't get in trouble here. Because censorship sucks. You don't want to get in trouble.
I don't want to get censored. Yeah.
I thought Candy was a little thinner and shorter than Mike. I mean Michelle.
Yeah, I think she is. All these conversations were not meant to have respectfully, but
that's all right. Roger Hansen in chat loves Candace. I don't know why. I think it's just her looks. All right.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can't knock those, right? I mean,
she's got it where it counts, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you don't like the Kansas City Chiefs, you can't say, yeah, and Patrick Mahomes sucks. He's a really lousy quarterback. Yeah, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I get it.
But yeah, so yeah, poor Candace. She just misunderstood, I guess. Whatever it might be. I don't know, guys. The world has passed me by in so many ways. It's just sheer madness anymore. Or seems to be.
Roger said she's just a sex object. Okay, Roger, calm down.
Yeah, it's we're still recording, so somebody's gonna get in trouble. Not gonna be me. I'm not making any bad sexist statements of any sort.
Hey, I just told you about a dream I had. That's all.
It was John's dream, not yours, Brent. So,
right.
Or mine.
I mean,
but I know I know Roger wishes it was him.
But here we go. I just don't know there's no way out of this one except once we leave the break, right? We're in.
Yeah, we're about 30 seconds away.
Yeah,
I think
30 seconds, guys.
All right, we're gonna try to escape this rabbit hole, this Candace hole. Oh,
I can tell you my dream on the air.
The nice thing about coming on air is hard subject change usually.
Yeah.
Exactly. La 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 la.
All right, look out, cats, dogs, kids, curtain climbers, and crumb beggars. Here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you are back live and on the air right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday night edition for January 7th, 2026. Got to get used to saying that, writing it on checks and all that stuff. It's always hard for the first round of checks you write in the year to get that date right, But with me tonight, we've got Brent Hamachek. Senior Vice President over at humanevents.com. And Brent, now you guys were recently purchased near the end of last year by Just the News. What's Just the News? What, Media Group or just the group?
JTN Network is the street name in the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a member of that team. No longer, I was going to say we got to update your description of me, but I am a member of that team now, and we're going to be what we'll be working on is the event side of the business, and trying to help create a platform that brings events to the American public, both live streaming events and in-person events and those sorts of things. And so anxious to be part of that. And I'll be doing some other stuff along the way as well. Still writing books, working on one as I speak. Can't announce publicly who it's with or what it is, but working on a book project that'll come out this year, and just working with a extraordinarily special human being, writing what I'll call memoirs in the form of sort of a self-help guide for others. So something new in terms of a type of project for me writing, but I'm enjoying it. So that's happening. And then, of course, the real passion in my world is Bridge Charities and in Common Ground Campus. We've had a successful year for us of fundraising. We've got some big plans for this coming year. This year we've just started. In particular, it'll be part of the American 250 tour that's going across the country in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So we're tied into that. We've got some neat campus things coming up. It's going to be a really good year for Common Ground Campus, and it's a year where, some of the stuff we were talking about in the first half hour, and some of the issues and challenges facing the country, when we do the Common Ground Campus program, Phyllis and I, we're playing a long game. We're trying to work with as many young people as we can and get them to stop, to think before they engage with others. We're trying to change their approach in the public square and in their family living room. And we're hoping that as those young people progress and have careers and meet other people and get to have their own impacts, that collectively they'll all do their own thing to help to start to make a difference in the way the dialogue of the country is had. So we're playing a long game, and it's fun to be my age and play a long game, because you don't have to play it for long, because it won't be here for long. So easy to play a long game. It's like I'll play it till I can't. But it's pretty rewarding.
It's a 6-month plan.
Yeah,
a long game.
Pretty rewarding working with these young people.
Well, I'll know we're in trouble when you start doing specifically only like college Republican groups with the Common Ground stuff instead of targeting all students, as your prediction from the first hour, was kind of alluding to.
Yeah, it's a really good point. We had an event sometime back at Hope College and it was almost foreshadowing some of what I was talking about the last half hour. Because for some reasons involving pressure from campus faculty, other student groups, the team left kids momentarily, withdrew from the event. They said, we can't participate. They were just getting too much pressure. To their credit, by the way, they ultimately decided to come back. But when they departed, we had already planned on having an event, and the young student leader we had at Hope College suggested that we do an event with just the conservative students on campus, because they were so fractured that she felt we could get a meaningful event out of that. When was that? November of 2023. Okay, so 2 years plus ago that this took place. And point of the story, I'm not sure there is one, except to say that your joke or a little reference, it's really true, right? And it's okay it's okay that there's differences within political parties or political sort of teams, as I put it. It's okay that there's differences. The problem is when the differences aren't tolerated. And when we start to have, when we demand a test for purity, so that somebody is saying, if you are going to be on our team, you must believe not just this, but you must believe all of that. The problem with that is that there's all kinds of other team members saying the exact same thing with a different set of tests. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't start to allow for reasonable differences within your team, then the team can't sustain, right? So that's
we've called out Team Left for this for a very long time. That if you're not, if you're a J.K. Rowling who is maybe a TERF, but is a woman's rights, in every other respect, and a Democrat her whole life or Team Left her whole life, but comes out against one issue, then she's excommunicated from every event having to do with Harry Potter for perpetuity, in perpetuity, that is. And, we shouldn't be doing the same thing on our side, on Team Right. It should be something we can rise above. And it's tough, though. In some places, people have real deep felt, concerns and feelings about certain issues. I mean, Israel's a huge one. I've seen all kinds of people I thought I understood take crazy stances on that and whatnot. But, it is what it is. But let's dive into some things that are going on here. We had a crazy weekend in Venezuela with the removal of Maduro from office. The Navy SEALs and a whole contingent of aircraft and helicopters and whatnot flew in there, took over a base for 8 minutes or something, got him out of there, and took him to New York City for prosecution. It was called, the next war, and it's going to be huge, and they're going to be on the ground now for, and we all have to kind of sit back and wait and see what's actually going to happen here. Maduro's gone. His vice president, who was elected in the same quote unquote stolen election from a couple of years ago, is now in power. If he wasn't legitimate, she's not either. So we're going to work towards doing a few things over there. One is getting in place oil infrastructure, heavy investments from American companies to go down in there and rebuild everything, to get it up and running and get the money flowing back into the country. And two is find a way to set up a free and fair election down there, where I'm sure they're going to insist on, voter ID, in-person ballots, the whole thing, none of this Dominion stuff. And hopefully they can find their way to a peaceful transition to democracy again and get away from the socialist kind of hellhole that they've become. And so, I don't know, Brent, I want to ask you what your opinion of all that is. And I did so in a long way, sort of to bring up the audience to speed, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, no,
so,
all
pardon
good
my lengthy.
Right. No, it was good. Look, when my opinion is varied, as I guess is often sort of the case with me. I see this as being, first of all, extraordinarily complex, and I think it needs to be taken apart in different pieces. So, and as always is the case in our country and stuff we've talked about, I've written about, we make everything binary. So, are you for or against Trump going into Venezuela? I don't know. Me personally, I can't answer a question that way. The question is sort of preposterous. It's way more complicated than that. But for the typical American now, that's the way we look at it. And certainly for our political leaders, they're for it or they're against it. It's binary. This is complicated. So let's take a couple elements of it. Was it okay for us to go in and get Maduro? Sure. Absolutely, in my mind. There's zero ethical issue with it. Ethics don't come into play in my mind from a foreign policy perspective. This guy's clearly a criminal. We all know that. The whole world knows that. We've got this silly law in the book that we don't get to assassinate foreign leaders anymore. That's no fun. That used to be the traditional way of doing things for centuries. It worked just fine for humanity as we toiled our way up. and progressed. But now we don't get to do that anymore. So we had to go arrest him. Okay. I don't have any problem with that. Next,
Game of Thrones was a really fun show, I gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, and that stuff worked for a couple thousand years.
It worked real well.
Yeah, it did. The military operation. Hats off to our military. That's great. I think that I do have an issue. Not really an issue. It's not the right way to put it. I'm not good with words, but I think it's concerning when people celebrate something like this because they want to puff their chest out and talk about, oh, look at our military, our great show of force and all this stuff. Look, is Venezuela. And I would argue that what the American military did in Venezuela, as good as our military is, with the technology and the training that we have, there are probably only a few countries on the whole planet where we also couldn't have done it. I think we'd have a hard time doing it in Russia. We'd have a hard time doing it in China. Mm-hmm. We could do it anywhere in South America. Any one of those nations, we could go in and do what we just did. So great that we can do it. I'm happy that we live in a country with a military that can do it. All that's good. But that's not anything to celebrate, right? That's not a reason to puff our chests out over this. We made a decision to take him out. All that matters now is what happens next, right? And
correct.
And what will be very interesting is the things you mentioned, about giving them democracy, the whole bit. The United States is pretty much for everything in the last 70, 80 years in terms of nation building and so on. Ronald Reagan's old line about we're from the government and we're here to help. How about we're from the United States and we're here to help? Oh, my God. That doesn't go well. When Trump says he's going to run the country for a while, we're having a hard time running this one last time I checked. So this kind of stuff concerns me. I think from that perspective, how deeply we get involved and for how long is a big deal. We need to be really careful. Uh-huh. Last thought, Venezuela and oil. Everybody said the Gulf War was about oil. Turns out they were wrong, weren't they? Last time I checked, Iraq still controls their oil. Oh, we might have some better arrangements, but we certainly didn't go in to take their oil fields, did we? Because we didn't take them. Mm-hmm. Now, if we wanted to go in and make Venezuela a wholly owned territory of the United States, there'd be some real international risk to that. I wouldn't mind it so much if we were taking their oil and using it for the United States. I'm good with that. I don't mind imperialism per se. The idea of us going in and rebuilding their infrastructure and giving them elections and having the oil companies go in and fix things up and then what? Look, I'm as cynical, not just skeptical. I'm as cynical as can be about all of that. So we'll see how it plays out, I think that, like all your questions, it's a big, giant question. And I do think, just to wrap up where I started, a binary answer of I'm for it or I'm against it, that just doesn't do justice to the importance and all of the tangential issues related to it.
Yeah. And I mean, I love what you just said a few minutes ago about we're here from the United States and we're here to help, being probably the scariest words, because we've seen so many regime change where they went in and they tried to retrain everyone down to the secretarial pool. Let's handpick everything. Let's go in and take over the entire government and then train our loyal people up in all these positions and then rebuild the entire government from the ground up. And I hope that's not what we're going to see here. I really do. I hope it's just a very limited amount of people that are welcomed in there by whatever government is in place. Because, hey, they need the money and they don't know how to do what needs to be done. So welcome them in, understand that they're going to make a profit out of it, but so are you. And hopefully they can come up with a win-win where they can, kickstart this oil economy back into gear over the next few years and at least give them a hope. Now, in Iran, they're out there in the streets forcibly taking over the streets. They're doing it with violence out in the streets, and it's working. it seems like the Shah's on the run. He's about to. I mean, I might refresh my news feed and see that he's left for Russia or whatever. And that's kind of what Venezuela needs to do. At the end of the day, we can't do it for them. They need to do it for themselves. If they've got these little street squads, whatever, these motorcycles running around, they kind of need to take them on head on like they're doing in Iran. It's what has always needed to happen there for them to have peace and freedom, liberté.
Well,
so, but it's ironic that those things are happening simultaneously at the same time, isn't it?
Ironic, maybe. I just think it's coincidental that you've got, a couple of struggling totalitarian countries, both rich in oil. That's a coincidence. The common thread is the totalitarianism, and we have revolts against it all the time, almost ongoing in different parts of the world over different points of history, right? So right now we happen to have one we're directly involved in our hemisphere, and then another one with a really big, important nation that's a clear stated enemy of the United States. So that makes all that stuff interesting. The real serious concerns about us intervening in the Iranian thing. That would be, for me, that would be an extraordinary mistake in any shape, manner, or form. I don't think that it was a smart thing for Trump to indicate that. He didn't even say we might do it. He said we would do it. And I think that's wrong. It's wrong because, first of all, if you say we would do it, remember the whole drawing a line in the sand in Syria thing that wound up haunting Obama, and then and then the line got crossed and we didn't do anything, and that was a pretty famous deal, right?
Biden did it with Ukraine too.
Yeah, so if we say we are going to do it, and by the way, there have been protesters killed, but we haven't done anything. So I guess there's some certain number that have to be killed. I'm not sure how it works. But to make that statement, I think, was a mistake. The only mistake that would be bigger is if we actually did it. Because if we do it, we are going to wake up Russia and China. And that doesn't mean they're going to go to war with us. But at some point in time, we just took out Venezuela, a Russian ally, and we're flirting with the idea of messing with Cuba. I wouldn't mind turning Cuba into a giant American resort, but an American resort, right? Not something where we're going to play around with nation building. Just take it over. But we're not going to do that, right? So we just messed around with Venezuela pretty significantly. And but it's just south of us, right? It's right there. Russia, China, they're not going to do much with that. Iran's their friend. And if you said, what do you think they would do if we get involved in Iran militarily? My answer is, I have absolutely no idea, and I want to remain totally ignorant. I don't want to know what they'll do. The last thing, and this is interesting. Someone in your audience might be able to help me figure this one out. When one of the big things that Trump ran on, one of the big things, by the way, that Charlie Kirk pushed for Trump, right, was not getting ourselves entangled in what we called endless foreign wars, but what we also meant was getting ourselves entangled militarily in other countries, right? Getting involved in other stuff. Yeah. Well, seems to be in this last few weeks of last year and the first week of this year, not only getting involved in one country, but we're threatening to get involved in others. And I want to know from a Trump supporter perspective, not someone who voted for him, I mean a real supporter, how they reconcile that. Because to me, it seems inconsistent with the message upon which he ran and the agenda that his real supporters were pushing. And this, I don't know.
He says a lot of things. You know what I mean? His Twitter is, it's a disaster zone, right? It always has been. That's why everyone claimed to hate him so much from the get-go, is that he would say things, little Marco Rubio, look at his hands, yada, yada. Marco Rubio is turning out to be pretty phenomenal nowadays, I got to say, by the way. But he's always been bad at saying, so you kind of have to watch what he does rather than what he says. And what he did in Venezuela, it's over, it's done. I don't see any big effort to go back in there anytime soon. And that's what I hope to see. That's the way I hope it stays. And if it does stay that way, then I'll be happy with it. But if it doesn't, and we have boots on the ground in Venezuela, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to be happy about it at all. Would I still support J.D. Vance, in 2028? Yeah. Even if all that happened and we were entangled in a war in Central America, I would still vote for J.D. Vance over, Governor Gray Hair, slickback Gavin Newsom, or Kamala Harris again, or Jasmine Crockett, or who else they got? Mamdani might run again, right up into the presidency. Let's go. I mean, their options are so bad on the other side. That's the thing. We are really looking at two parties that are so far divided as far as what their goals are and where they're looking to take us that there's just no space in between. They're so far apart. It's just shocking that we're one country united still under the same flag, if we even are. But I don't know. We got about 3 minutes left, and I kind of want to give you some time to speak. So is there anything I didn't ask you tonight that you want to kind of touch on, or do you want to just keep going down that road?
No, your thought about if we're even a united country, a fun story. Had a chance to go see the god of rock and roll at the end of this past year in concert. Robert Plant.
Bob Seger.
Robert Plant. Small venue, playing with his new group, the Saving Grace group, sitting right by the stage, and there he is, right? The greatest lead singer in history. And he's talking to the audience, and he said, it's so good to be here. He talked about playing bigger venues. He's in this small venue. And he said, and it's always great to be here. I lived here for a while, so I love being I love being in America. And the audience all laughed because we all knew what he was doing, right? He couldn't say United States of America anymore. He just had to say America. That's where we are. That's our reality. I don't think we've ever been less united. We talked on your show before the election that no matter what happened in November, this was not going to be a reconciling moment for the nation. The divisions would get worse. They are. We've got some really tough times ahead. And the only thing I can say is we watch people fight within our country. Don't fight within your own living rooms or your classrooms or your workplaces. Do better at trying to better engage the people around you constructively. Try to find some common ground with them, because ending personal relationships isn't going to do anything to change policy in the United States. So keep your family, keep your friendships, keep your work relationships. Try to find ways to make those work and not tear those apart too. For some of us, it's all we've got. So those are my thoughts.
Excellent. Well, as always, Brent, it is just an honor and a pleasure to have you on here. Now, where can people find out about Common Ground?
They can go to commongroundcampus.com, and they can go to bridgecharities.com and visit the websites. You can visit our page on Give, Send, Go and make a donation if you'd like. But you're going to hear a lot more about Common Ground Campus in 2026. I think that we're turning a corner in terms of being able to generate some awareness. And as I always say, standard line, Felissa and I know we can't solve the country's problems, but we do know we can do something. And this is what we're deciding to do. So I would urge everybody in your audience, figure out what you can do, whatever it is.
Yep.
Use your talents, use your passions, use your skills, bring them all together, find a way to make a difference, do something.
Brent, always an honor to have you on. We're running out of time, so check out Brent over at justthenews.com nowadays, justthenews.com, Brent Hamachek. We will see you next month. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We're going to go to break, folks. We'll be right back after this.
All right, we're on radio break.
All right.
All right.
Well, hope that was all okay,
Thanks, buddy.
guys.
Yeah, and I still need to get some PSAs from the places that you help out with. I need to look for a place where I can find them.
Some PSAs,
Public
what do you
service
mean?
public
well, I know what
service
that is,
announcements.
but what do you mean by, what are you trying to
put something you can play that would send people to, say, Common Ground campus, right?
Oh, maybe we could figure something out together.
Yeah, and
like 30-second clips and stuff.
Yeah, you can just send me some clips, or if they have them already made up, you can just send them to me.
Audio or video and audio.
Audio. Yeah.
Audio. Let me ask my much more brilliant than me partner about that, and see what she can come up with.
Okay. And
so
you know them at dragisproductions@gmail.com. It's just all one word.
Okay. I probably have an email from you. Maybe if you could send me an email from that to make sure I have it, because I'm elderly.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I was looking. I was looking all over, and I could not find your email at all, Brent.
You guys always use the human events one. I think we should probably switch that. We should probably switch it to for now to my Brent at BrentHamachek.com. And if you send me a Dragus email, put everybody's email on it that I should have.
Okay.
And then I'll hit reply all, and I'll include my email address in the reply all, and then start using that one.
At Brent.
Nice.
At
Brent at BrentHamachek.com. I'll put it in for you. If you just send me an email to Human Events and copy anybody in your group I should have, I'll hit reply all, and you'll have my other one.
All right. I'll try to remember that.
We're about to lose this room abruptly at any moment, so if it hangs up,
all right, guys, I got to go make dinner anyway.
All right. There was the room, and I'll get us right back with more Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show with the second hour of the live radio broadcast. Yeah. You guys don't get that kind of radio sound most of the time. Let me call up the folks and see what we're doing. Do 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 do.
Right.
There you are.
And Barry might just be listening on his Roku, so...
Yeah, you know Barry.
Let him know he's not in the new room as of yet.
Oh, I'm here, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there he is. Sweet.
You're not there, you're here?
Sweet.
Okay.
Sweet. Very sweet. Yes, sir, man. Well, I tried to listen as much as I could. I caught a few things, took a few notes, but I did get some work done, man, while I listened. It was great. I finished up everything that I set out to do for today, which wasn't as much as I'd like to have got done, but at least I got done what I put out to get done. So I'm happy now.
Mm-hmm. Is your volume as loud as it normally is? You don't sound like you were as loud as you were in the... Is that just me, Mark?
No.
How's that? Is that better?
No, he's good. Yeah,
okay.
He's got good levels.
Hey, man, if you ever need a headset, I mean, I can probably send you a couple of headsets with microphones if you want, dude. Just give me your address, just text it to me, and I run across them all the time. I think I have maybe one or two right now, but I run across them, for like $2 or $3, brand new in a little black pouch case and everything. I had 4 of them I could have picked up for $2 a piece. But I think I have one or two right now. If you just send me your address, I'll ship it out to you, man. In case that way, at least you got a backup in case it breaks or something like that. And it's got the pad on the headset and two headsets and just a little mic that comes out from it, and it's going to be right in front of your mouth, so it should sound pretty good.
Yeah. UBS or USB?
Yeah, that's what I need to know. USB
or Bluetooth or
what connected.
What connection do you need? Do you need, because
Bluetooth would probably be the best.
Well, okay, but if you got to have direct, what
direct?
If you have to have wired, because what are you using? PC or what, tablet?
Yeah. I'll send you the specs when I send you my address.
Because some of them do have USB.
I'll just show you what I got now.
Some of them have USB. Some of them have USB-C. Some of them have a whatever you call it, stereo type menu at the end of it.
Oh, I've got like an audio port.
Oh, so you can plug in any connector then into the board.
Oops.
You got an audio board that you connected into now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I hardwired. I don't like Bluetooth typically. I don't know. In my years of gaming, it never really was 1,000% reliable versus just a good old, mouse that's plugged in.
Oh, yeah. I don't even use a wireless mic. A mouse. I directly plug in.
Yeah. I just got killed one too many times because my mouse wasn't, behaving correctly. Whereas if it was wired and plugged in, it would never have that problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get killed in some fantastic way and you blame your mouse, you go buy a new one, and then you're a better player now.
Yeah. Or you replace the batteries in the mouse, right?
Well, yeah, a lot of times it has to do with that.
I never could get used to not having a mouse attached to my computer.
Yeah.
A wireless mouse. And plus, I drop it so often. It's easier if I drop it and I have that cord. I can just yank the cord and pull it right up, put back up on my desk. But hey,
I recently bought a almost $350 video microphone that goes on top of your cinema camera, and I paid like $27 for it on B&H on had a single day sale on it, and I picked it up. Snagged it for shipped and everything, $27. And then I sold the cheap one that I had bought for $8 at one of these little thrift places that I buy, and I'll sell it for almost that same price. So I'll get it for free.
I'm really waiting for John to get the blue cam where it attaches to her collar and he turns her loose, and we get to see where she's going. Outside running around during the show. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or the one that the camera that mounts up on top the roof of his RV, and just gets those gorgeous scenic pictures of the mountains and deserts and places that he's at. Or his site down by the river.
Yes, sirree. Oh, man, I got the wrong connection in here. Oops. Mic check.
Oh, my God, big mic.
That was good.
Mic check. There we go.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Yeah.
I've been recording this to my Alesis recorder, because anytime I try to pull some clips from BitChute or Rumble, anytime I try to speak, if I speak over CS or he speaks over me, it cuts us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we can't sing.
What's that?
That's why we can't sing songs.
That's right. Exactly. Can't do the 4-part harmonies, right?
Yeah, people wanted to do Christmas songs before, and I'm like, it'll sound like crap.
Yeah. That's why I always say, hey, record them all, individually, send them to me, and then I'll play it as one file. Oh, yeah, Roger says we don't want you two singing.
Sure they do.
Yeah, okay, Roger. Well, we all know that you and David Hogg are gods of AI music. All right. Well, I've never sent you guys any of Roger's stuff, but I'll have to do that. He makes some pretty good stuff here and there too.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mic check.
AI music is like the curse of your inbox. You get somebody starting to send you their AI music, and it's like, oh my God, what did I do?
What? Yeah.
Well,
okay,
Nancy made me a theme song with AI music, and it's really cool. Yeah, she made me this one that sounded kind of like going to a funeral, and then there's another one that's really rocking. But here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're back live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday night edition for January 7, 2026. In the first hour, we had Brent Hamachek on from Just the News, and what a great conversation. This hour, I'm stepping it up, man. We're bringing in Bullhorn Barry. What's up, Barry? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and to everybody out there, man. Happy New Year. Merry New Year, however you want to approach it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just going to throw you a wild card here and say, is there any specific story you want to start tonight out with? Because I've already had a Sunday night show to, get my airs out there. You have been frozen. Your voice has been silenced for a few weeks as we've taken our vacation. So welcome back. And if you've got anything to say, man, dive in there and say it.
Well, I mean, I could talk about some news article or whatever, but I feel like my specialty is, being a trends forecaster. That's what I try to spend most of my time doing. And I've probably written since the beginning of the year, actually even before the beginning of the year started, I've probably written almost, 25, 26 different forecasts for 2026 already, 2 long form ones and a bunch of short ones. And I put together a video on one of them, and I'm going to put a video together of all the small ones when I'm finished doing all my forecasts. But here's one forecast that I would like to bring up because I think it kind of plays into what Brent was saying. And he was talking about how we're more divided than ever. And I don't deny that, but I don't find that to be a concern. And I even made a forecast about it. Let's see, it was, I think it was today, as a matter of fact. Just a few hours before we came on the show, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you why exactly I'm not concerned about any of the division that's happening at all, not even remotely concerned. Here's what I wrote. Because 2026 is going to be such a pivotal year, and so many things are going to transpire, Americans are going to begin to unify like we haven't yet seen in our lifetime. The gravity of what we're up against is going to finally hit home. And our united front will grow stronger. And in time, we will have our united stand, which is something I've been talking about for years. The narratives that once kept us in fighting will begin to collapse under the weight of real world consequences. So that ties into another forecast that I made, which just simply says that 2026 is going to be a year of rapid change. It's going to be a pivotal moment. We're coming to a crossroads, if you will. So much hangs in the balance based on what happens in 2026. I'm excited about it, but I'm also a little cautious and concerned at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not as worried about it as Brent is because, as I was saying, the divide between the two sides is so massive that even if there's a little infighting on, the team left or team right, it's not going to amount to much next to the division between the two parties or the two teams. You're never going to. Some of these people running for president or potentially having their hats in the rings this next time around are just completely, they're morons. They've got no idea how to run a state. Look at Gavin Newsom. Look at what's happening to California, man. What a disaster this fire has been. Nothing rebuilt. It's just sitting there empty. No one can move because the state won't let them and the city won't let them. It's a disaster. They should have been in there with checks and bulldozers the first day that fire was out. But they weren't.
And it's been almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Since that event happened.
Where's the...
That's crazy.
Yeah, where's the full force and power of the state and the state, army reserves and whatnot to go into a place like that and just clean it all up, to throw it all into piles where they can get picked up and taken away? And at least the city went in and just like cleaned it all out. And now you can go in and it's something, right? Clean it out. And now you got a chance to go in there and start looking at what happened and what you have to rebuild with and making plans to do so. But they didn't even do the minimum. They didn't do that. They did nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
it's just a sight to see. Well,
he did miss one little minor point, and a lot of people bring up the fact that, Trump's ratings, even according to Rasmussen, who's been known to be very accurate, has dropped down a little bit, into the mid to high 40s. But you look at how the ratings of the left have dropped, it's peanuts. So Trump could drop another 5 or 10 points, which, of course, most of these drops in Trump, which we've seen over his history of being the president, has gone up and down, and it'll go right back up. I'm sure if I look tomorrow, it's up above where it was. I think the Venezuela thing is actually working in his favor. I think more people are happy that the dictator is no longer in power and that the Venezuelans now have a chance at freedom and liberation.
Yep. I saw a clip from Harry Enton, I think it is, over at CNN, and he was showing, inside the Republican Party after Maduro, 85% approval, right?
Oh, really?
Which is, he's like, it's anywhere close to being down within the Republican Party. Of course, 45, that makes sense on a national scale because you got everyone in the Democratic Party hates him. So, right, you got the entire left of this country just foaming at the mouth over the guy. You got people like Rosie O'Donnell leaving the country to, flee from bad orange man. Meanwhile, it's like, gosh, it rains a lot over here compared to L.A.
Add George Clooney and his wife to that list now, too. They've moved to France. Wonder why.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the paparazzi, they have much better laws over there.
Yeah, he did talk about one of the reasons that he said he didn't want his kids to be, suffer the paparazzi and being a famous parents. But those people are not famous anymore, man. Okay? They are not famous. And I looked at the numbers about Hollywood. They used to have like 80 to 90% of the global box office sales. It's down to about 60 now. They're talking about in the next 5 years, it's going to be around 50, maybe less. They're not popular. Nobody likes them. The baton has been passed on. We're coming into a paradigm shift. Hollywood is done. Finished. Finito.
Yeah. It is, man. And they're laying people off left and right. I wish I had these articles. I've read them a few weeks back, but massive, massive cuts in the number of people working in Hollywood right now that are sitting there in LA wondering, okay, what's next? If I can't work in pictures, that's my whole career. What do I do? Where do I go? Do I try to go to some other part of the country where maybe I've got a better chance to get, a job? Or is it just you got to start waiting tables all of a sudden, So it's tough. But, it's a bed they made and they're lying in it. They could have easily gone out and made great, great movies. They've had so many opportunities to.
Yeah.
What was I watching the other day? That, I don't know, some movie, a really good movie. At the end of it, they just set it up for a sequel and just ended it. And I'm like, why didn't they never make a sequel to this movie? It was just like so ready-made, perfectly ready to go.
What year
and they never did it.
What year did it come out?
The movie, I can't remember.
I mean, it's fairly recent, though, or was this kind of pre...
Oh, no, it was an older movie. It was something I'd seen a long time ago. And like the way it ended, it was just like, wow, you just set that... It'll come to me at some point during the next half hour or so, and I'll bring it up then. But if you press me on it now, I won't get you anywhere.
Well, you're right. There's a lot of Holly weirdos that are not working and so forth. But I got a question for you. I don't know if you read this story or not, but I found it fascinating. Here's a guy who's a career actor. He's worked every single year as an actor. Since 1980, there was only 1 year where he didn't make a film, and that was I think 2007. And he supposedly can't pay his rent. He's $60,000 behind on his rent, and he made 17 films between 2020 and now. And yet he doesn't have enough money to pay for his rent, and he's a career actor, Mickey Rourke. And so he did a GoFundMe page to raise the money, and then he pretended like he didn't know who did it, even though it was his own management who set it up and said that he approved of it. He goes, I don't even know what GoFundMe is. I would never do this. This is embarrassing. But I can guarantee you, because he's already raised almost $100,000, he's going to take the $100,000 and probably frivolously spend that extra $40,000 too. The Hollywooders, they can't even budget their own money. I mean, how much money did he make with 17 films? Mickey Rourke. He's I don't know if you could call him an A actor, but he's a top actor. He's been working for, 40 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And, Hollywood's expensive. If you're Mickey Rourke and you want to go out to dinner, it's $1,000.
That's exactly right. I mean, rent's not cheap in Beverly Hills. And why doesn't he own a home? Why would he rent at this point in time in his life? I don't get it, man. But whatever.
Yeah. Or go live up in Colorado, some, cute little town that you can, hide away in and just kind of live a normal life or whatever. I don't know. I mean, you go to Telluride, Aspen. Mm-hmm. But I guess, when you're an A-list celebrity, those are the places you summer or, winter or whatever. Because it's just money, money, money. I mean, they can blow through. You raise $60,000 for somebody in that lifestyle. It's going to last them 2 months.
I would imagine he gets $1 million a movie, or at least $500,000 a movie. At least. I mean, he's Mickey Rourke, man.
Yeah, when's the last time he starred in like a big feature film now?
Well, he's had a few, and he's had some nominations and stuff, like that one movie where he played the wrestler. I mean, that was critically acclaimed, supposedly. I don't know how well it did at the box office, but, he's made somewhat of a comeback. His face kind of got beat up quite a bit from boxing and so forth. But that didn't stop him from getting roles. He just took different kinds of roles.
Yeah. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was the movie I was thinking of. You remember that one with Steve Martin and John Cleese, maybe? Yeah, at the end of it just sets up for a sequel. And they never made a sequel, but they did remake the movie with 2 women in the roles. Right?
Really? Like recently?
Yeah, in the last 5 years or so.
Kind of like what they did with Ghostbusters?
Exactly. Precisely like they did with Ghostbusters. And the funny part is they didn't even change anything. It was the same movie, scene to scene to scene to scene. They changed nothing.
Boring.
I mean, it was decent because it's a great movie, but it was how weak when the movie sets up for a sequel perfectly,
Yeah, I don't get it, man. It's like they've run out of ideas, and it's either prequels, sequels, or remakes. That's all they've got now. And every now and then when they do something really good that appeals to a broad audience, they do fairly well, but they just don't want to do that for whatever reason. And I did want to point out one thing about George Clooney. Him and his wife got citizenship in France as well. So that's kind of weird. Why are all the Holly weirdos getting citizenship in other countries? I mean, I know conspiratorial minds are going to go wild on that one, but, it is kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, you can cease to have any opinion on U.S. politics at that point, though, right? I mean, you're Frenchy. What do we care what you think? You're an actor and you're French.
Touché. Very good.
It's 2 strikes on you right there, cheese eater. But anyway, while we're a little bit off the pressing news, I want to talk about this tuna. A world record tuna fish was just sold in Japan for $3.2 million. Okay, get this, man. It averages out to $6,060 a pound.
Wow.
How in the world is that possible?
I don't know. It must taste unbelievable.
I mean, you got to gut the thing. You got to take out all the bones and everything. So you're only maybe half of that is meat at best. And so that doubles it to now $12,000 a pound. It's just incredible to me. Who's buying that? It's like sushi, 1 ounce each. You're paying $1,000 an ounce just to break even on the fish? I don't know what happens there. I don't know why that happens, but it happens. And wow, it makes me want to go get a boat, go over to Japan and start dropping a line in and see if I can catch one of these puppies.
You probably got to have an in with Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and Warren Buffett, because those are the kind of people that have the money to buy something like that and probably would,
Mm-hmm. Well, this is at the auction. You know, the famous Tokyo auction they do at the fish market.
Yeah.
It's like every morning at like 6 a.m. they just auction everything off, and so it happened in an open auction. So
I mean,
if they want it, they can come get it. But
I mean, and then so people were bidding it up. So there were a lot of people bidding, right? That's the thing that's crazy. There's a lot of people with a lot of money for tuna. I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me when you have art made out of feces that sells for $500,000. So hey.
Now, the guy who bought it owns a chain of sushi shops in Japan, and he said it was very good luck. So I don't know if it's just like a luck thing for the Japanese, that whoever, wins the first giant fish of the year or whatever it's the lucky thing for the year. I don't know, but the economics of that make no sense. I was reading this, like, what in the world is going on with tuna in Japan that it's this expensive?
Well, how much would like a tiny little can of that be? Like a can of tuna that we'd buy here in the United States. It's like what, a buck or two. Well, so how much would one?
Yeah, that's pink salmon. You know what I mean? This is bluefin, so very, very different.
I understand that, but I'm trying to give the perspective here of like how much would one of those things cost? Just one.
I don't know, $4, $4.50 maybe.
450,
and that's close to a pound.
No, how much would one cost of this high-end tuna?
Oh, a can like that? Well, again, it's close to a pound, so it'd be like, I don't know, $20,000 or something.
Yeah, so who's going to buy that? Again, that's the point I'm trying to make. You put it in a can and you say, here is some premium tuna, and it's $40,000 or whatever. It's crazy, dude. That doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to can it though, buddy. They're probably going to piece it out to their top clients over the next month or so. How
you piece it out? I'm trying to give perspective.
Yeah.
I'm saying. I mean, whether you put
I doubt they'll can it though.
You put it on a can or on a plate with garnishment, it's still just 8 or 12 ounces of tuna.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's dive into an article here about this Craigslist ad that was going down in Minneapolis seeking to hire 20 children at $1,500 a day. Can you guess what they wanted them to do?
Tell me.
Child actors to go sit and play in a daycare center.
Wonder why.
Now, we don't know if this is real or if it's just somebody being funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't really tell who's behind it. But wow, if that's real, it's so blatant. And if it's somebody just trying to, pull a funny, then they got me, man. That's pretty funny.
It is funny. Unless it's real. Then it's not so funny.
Yes. Unless it's real, of course. Which odds are 50-50?
I think so, yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if somebody... I'm panicking. I need 20 kids. Let's just put an ad out. We'll pay them $1,500. We'll get people faster than you can shake a stick at. I mean, this is for 3 days of work, by the way.
Well, the news
$4,500 for your kid to go play at daycare.
The state-run news in that area, one of them ran a piece, and they were saying, "Look, here's some of the Somalians bringing their kids," and they had like 3 or 4, parents bringing in kids to the place. I mean. What, 3 or 4 when it's supposed to have 80? I mean, how easily could that be staged? It's so ridiculous at this point. It's really hard to tell. It's going to get even harder to tell what's real, what's not real. I mean, I even bought an AI fake about Jack White the other day. I thought it was real, where he was talking about, MAGA and Trump being fascist, and it wasn't even real, but it looked and sounded real. That's how good it's gotten. And it fooled me, and I'm not easily fooled because I mess with AI. I do AI video stuff. I do all kinds of AI stuff. So I know what it looks like, and I was not able to tell.
And we're closely approaching the point where we're not going to be able to really reliably believe anything we see on our devices, on our TVs. If you don't see it in person and human, then you can't believe it.
I think that's the strategy of the social engineers and the global elite. They don't want us to be able to make sense of things because they don't want the truth coming out. So what a perfect way to sort of conceal it.
Yeah, well, they got a lot to conceal, They really do. It's kind of crazy what's happening around the world. All over the place, man. These countries are putting their citizens last time and time again. It's just they're putting their own people last and trying, it seems, on purpose to take down countries. I mean, Germany, goodbye, man. You've got a limited amount of time left to really be Germany. But anyway, folks, we've got to go to break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show right after this.
All right, we're on radio break.
All right.
Hey, John, if you want to pick up from where you just left off, we could talk about how, there's kind of this battle between, and it's what we've talked about before, but it's taken a different turn now because of Venezuela. But this division between freedom and individual empowerment and collectivism and all of that.
Oh yeah.
How the Western Hemisphere now is a lot of the countries in the Western Hemisphere are becoming more pro-America, and all the moves that Trump is making the Western Hemisphere more pro-America. What Venezuela now, and maybe Iran, possibly, maybe Mexico, more American, and who knows, Cuba.
No, not Mexico. From what I'm seeing, they're in a bad place.
Well, I'm just saying maybe at some future time, but there are. Already, 4 or 5 nations that are kind of already secured, which is all part of Trump's agenda, if you ask me. You've got. Let me see. I wrote all these nations down. I can see if I can find them.
Yeah, I've got a polling. I got an article here with polling from different. Here, I think this is it. Showing what their recent polling showing what the popularity of Trump's actions are. And every country that surrounds, here it is, that surrounds Venezuela is really happy about it. Costa Rica plus 80, Colombia plus 67, Peru 63, Chile 62, and then you get down to Mexico and it's a +1 issue.
Okay, well, maybe Mexico's not, we need to work on, but I know Argentina, Paraguay, Ecuador, Uruguay, Honduras, Greenland, those are all nations that are being secured, for a pro-Americanism, and we're taking it away from the power of the globalist in China and Russia, and securing the resources and pro-America, type values. I mean, there's definitely like the battle between these two forces are like kind of coming together, man. And all these people that hate Trump for what he's doing, come on, man, really? I mean, if he doesn't do them, the globalists, they've got their foothold strategy in so many different nations, man. And they had all the oil over there, And then, of course, Iran, that was their safety, security, if they decided to do, any kind of war maneuvering or stuff, that's where they would get their oil and so forth. And now that's going to be cut off. And a big percentage of Venezuelan oil went to Iran and went to China and went to Russia. So that's and then China.
It pretty much fuels Cuba.
Cuba's screwed.
But anyways, I was watching world news. It's Canadian news last night, and they're like, "Oh my God." They the Americans went into Venezuela and they got Maduro. Are we next? Oh, and the politicians up there are spazzing out. Oh no, he's got his sights on Greenland again. Or are we next?
Yeah.
They're panicking. What was it, Carney?
Well, doesn't China need all that
30 seconds, guys.
That oil for, AI? And we're in the AI race right now between America and China pretty much. So that's going to really...
They just need oil, dude. They have no production of oil internally in China, at all. So they need every drop from outside.
3, 2, 1, and you're live right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday night edition, first Wednesday of January 2026. And we're happy to be back, folks. What an honor and a pleasure to have each and every one of you out there listening. Now, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the the difference that's going on in this world, right? The fall of socialism potentially in Venezuela, and how much joy the people that see this potential are celebrating, how happy they are. And then you've got Mamdani talking about the comfort of the collective, the warmth of the collective, instead of the, cold, rigid, barren lands where you're just on your own.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so there's this big in your face sort of, hey, we're going to turn New York socialist, man. Get ready for it. We're going to take your properties. We're going to, set laws in place where you can't even sell your property without first, giving the city a chance to buy it, or our NGO puppets. And you're going to live in this new socialist world in New York City. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to love it. But then you got all these people that are in this diaspora out of Venezuela through this last 20 years that are saying, no, it's the worst thing in the world. Don't go there. So I don't know, Barry, you were talking on this related subject, so jump in.
Yeah. I don't know where should I start, because we were kind of going at it from a bunch of different angles. What would you suggest?
Well, we've got these polls that are coming out of Central America and South America, where they're showing the net approval for the detention of Nicolas Maduro by the U.S. in Latin America. So Costa Rica plus 80%, Colombia 67, Peru 63, Chile 62, Panama 59, Argentina 30, Ecuador 24, Uruguay 19. Notice the further away you get, the less they care. And then Mexico at plus 1. So they're not happy about it there, because obviously they share a border with us, and they probably don't want to see this happening there, where it probably should, much more likely than, say, Canada. What they're doing there is despicable. So, we've got this reaction from the people on the ground that are saying, hey, this was good. We want to see this. That guy was a scumbag. He needed to go to jail. So we're glad he's there.
Right.
But yet, in America, you got the awfuls, the affluent white female liberals out in the street screaming bloody murder to free Maduro, with their paid signs and their paid protests and their paid everything. That's furthest thing from any naturally occurring protest. But there they are, getting that money from the system to go protest Bad Man Orange.
Yeah, I think it's what we're seeing is this ideological global battle is territorial, and what Trump is trying to do is secure the Western Hemisphere. I mean, I think that's what a lot of top influencers have been talking about, news pundits have been talking about. It's a lot of the Western Hemisphere is now becoming more pro-America, and they're more working side by side with us instead of more with Russia or say China. There's a lot of nations, Argentina, Paraguay, Ecuador, Honduras, Greenland, and others, and some that are potentially headed in that direction as well. So it's territorial, this battle between good and evil, freedom and enslavement, globalism versus, national sovereignty and individual sovereignty, the collective versus the rugged individual, power, which is what I stand for. That's what made America. It's what made us great. I don't want to have a collective hive mind where nobody has a mind of their own and it's all being controlled by a few select few.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what socialism gets you, It all that power goes into the hands of a few people. And I didn't have a moment enough. I don't know. Brent gave a definition of socialism that I wouldn't necessarily agree with in the first hour, where he said it was sort of the corporations and the government working hand in hand, which is really more of a fascist situation. We think of fascism via Mussolini. It was working with the corporations to meet certain ends. Yes. Whereas socialism is the government owns the means of production. Right. So instead of the companies being out there working with them, no, the government owns it all. And they tell them exactly what to do.
Yeah, wasn't he saying more or less that America was socialist? I kind of have a comment about that. I wrote down a whole little portion, if you don't mind me responding to it. And again, I appreciate his perspective. I just don't agree with it. I don't think that we're in a time of socialism, which I think is kind of the phrase he gave. I was doing some other things when he said it, so forgive me, Brent, if I'm misquoting you.
Yeah, no, I meant to bring it up too, but it was by the time he got through his long, complex answer, it kind of slipped my mind to bring that up again.
Yes. Well, here's what I think the time we're in. I think we're in a time of sabotage, of great danger and dire straits. Therefore, drastic measures must be taken to secure our future, safety, security, freedom, and prosperity, which ties into everything I was just talking about with the Western Hemisphere. And all of this is being done, which I don't know where Brent stands on this, but under the law that's in our books. Now, somebody could argue that it's not constitutional, some of the things he's done, but everything that he's done, other presidents have done based on written laws on our books. So, he's not doing anything different than anybody else has done based on laws that our Congress has passed. Do we want to get back to a much stricter constitutional rule of law? I mean, I would hope that eventually we get there. But right now, he's just doing what he has to do based on the laws that are on the books, legally and lawfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so far, I mean, I got to say, I don't hate what Donald Trump's been doing this, for the last year. Right? It's been, about a year since he was inaugurated. No, it'd be January 20th or so, wasn't it? So, yeah, I'm not, against it. I think America's in a much, much better place than we ever would have been under Kamala at this point in our lives. I mean, all the trillions, tens of trillions of dollars of investments that he's got from overseas to come into America and build plants and build jobs and, chips and you name it, would have never happened under her administration, ever, in a million years. In fact, those companies would be running the other way with their tail between their legs as fast as they can. Look at California. They're implementing if you are a resident of California as of January 1st of 2026, you are now required over the next 5 years to pay 1% of your net worth to the state every year. And I mean, this is for people that are worth, over $1 billion. It's for the very wealthy. But it's going to run that money out of town faster than you can shake a stick. They did the same thing in Seattle. And Bezos moved. He moved to Florida. And half the money from that revenue pool disappeared the day he moved. Right? Mm-hmm. They were expecting, $40 billion. They got $20 billion. And they're like, what happened? Oh, Jeff Bezos moved. The one guy who actually paid this. And what did he do when he got down to Florida? He then the next year set everything up and sold a ton of shares. That would have netted, millions of dollars. But that's the thing. It's not your money, Seattle. It's not your money, California. Unrealized gains, you cannot tax unrealized gains, period. It makes no sense. Business doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So, for them to go down these roads, it's just one thing after another. And like you say, we're at a pivotal point. If we keep going the way that Joe Biden and Barack Obama were pointing the ship, it's just the end of American freedom. It's the end of America it'll look like Germany or England or France or any of these other, failed countries that have no futures. They have no futures for their people, and it's incredible to see the left just out there supporting Maduro. No matter what Trump does, they hate it. They're getting rid of these, people, these murderers and killers. Chicago just released 1,700, people on the watch list that are wanted for, being criminals in other countries, for committing crimes, for being, eligible for going to trial for felonies here in the United States. Get them out, get them out, get them out. And Chicago's turning the other eye and letting them out in the streets. Guess whose neighborhoods they go into? They go into the Hispanic neighborhoods because that's where they blend in the best. Do you think the Hispanic families that have been living there for 20 years want all these criminals in their neighborhoods? Of course not. They can't do anything right. The people around the world, the Hispanic people, are seeing the Democrat Party for what they are when they defend Maduro and say, free him, send him back.
Yeah.
They see it for what it is. They see it all over the place, and they're only waking up. You think Trump, did well with Hispanics last time around? Just wait till 2028. Oh, yeah. You just wait, man. Watch what happens.
Well, you've talked about the UK and how they've gone and taken that to the next level, right? We talked about how they passed a law to where they're going to basically free people that are black and minorities in prison and give stiffer and harsher punishments to white people. Just because
tweets,
of the color of because of the color of their skin, they're going to be harder on them and less strict on, say, a refugee or somebody that comes over here, that commits a terrible crime. But if you, like you were saying, say you don't approve
bad
of
tweet.
Yeah, the way the immigration's being handled, you could have 3 to 5 years in jail. But if you rape somebody, you're out in a year because you're a minority that came over here from another nation. I mean, this is the insanity. And look, I made a post today, and I said I just came to the realization that there's more people that literally just want to see it all burned down than I had imagined. Right? Don't you see that there's just people that literally they want to see it burned down. They don't want any kind of success whatsoever.
Yeah. It's burn it all down, Cloward and Piven. Break the system from within by just overloading it with requests for money, with fraud, abuse, you name it. For the people that want to take down America, if you're committing fraud and abuse against the United States, that's fine, because they want to see the system fail anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? We've covered this for years. So of course they're going to look the other way. Because you're accelerating the destruction of America. And, as Brent was saying, man, it's kind of treasonous,
Yeah, I saw
it's kind of a treasonous thing.
A hilarious leftist meme where some anti-Trumper guy on the right was talking about, this is your America under Trump. And it showed, all the videos that we've seen of drugged out, zombified people on the side of the street, and it's all leftist areas. And I responded, and I got all kinds of likes and comments about it. I responded by saying, yeah, this is what happens when a leftist hellhole tries to Trump-proof an area.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Trump didn't do that. That's Gavin Newsom. That's Tim Walz or Tom, whatever his name is. Yeah, Tim Walz.
Oh, yeah. It's Johnson in Chicago. It's, Lightfoot before him. It goes on and on and on. These people are Karen Bass. They're just looking to take down these cities because that's what they've been trained to do. Heck, Karen Bass was one of the people that was going down into Cuba for training in revolutionary, how to overthrow the American kind of training down there. And guess what? She took good notes and learned what she was, supposed to out of that, because she's doing a darn good job of it. But, wow. Which goes really nicely into remember Michael Byrd, the Capitol Police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt?
Yes.
Killed her on January 6th. It turns out he has a daycare center in his home.
Or so he says.
Well, I mean, he's brought in $190 million, allegedly. Gateway Pundit here I'm reading from. $190 million in HHS funds over the last 12 years. Since 2008, sorry, longer than that. Since 2008. If he's brought in that much money, I mean, you're running this out of your home. I assume in your spare time.
He'd have 15 daycare centers with that kind of money.
I would hope. 1,000 kids?
Yeah.
You show me 1,000 kids that they're taking care of in their home.
Has anybody gone there to see if there's even any kids there? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, we're just finding out all this stuff nowadays. The Somalian ambassador to the UN apparently is a partner in some major, daycare centers in Ohio. So let's see what that turns out.
He's one of the top globalists, one of the top positions, like the number 3 or 4 position, like over there, whatever global entity that he works for, whether it's the, the WEF or whatever. He's very, very powerful, which goes back to what we've been saying. The Democrat Party is under the control of the globalists. This is a documented fact. That's why they'll never have real reform.
Mm-hmm. And why the same things are happening in country after country after country. It's not some coincidence that every Western nation is opening their borders to millions and millions of people from all over the world all at once as fast as they possibly can to transform their countries as fast as they possibly can. It's all in the cards, man. This was, agreed to at Davos a decade ago, 20 years ago.
Right.
We just never knew about it. Because they don't tell us these things, because we're just the people, and we would revolt if we knew what they really wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've been planning on it for a long time. And, yeah, Alex Jones has talked about it for decades. You know, nobody listened, but now they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, how much money is in your Alex Jones's rate jar?
I'm pretty wealthy right about now.
I put a quarter in there every time he turns out to be right. And I'm going to retire on it.
They got the shamdemic right on the money, you know, because he had that Rockefeller document that just, you know, called Lockstep, right? Anybody can download it and read it. And they followed it to the blueprint, which was written a decade or a little more than a decade before the shamdemic actually happened. And it was all about top-down government, and then how the sovereign nations would fight back to try to get back their sovereignty, and how they would have to deal with that because, of course, they want their great reset, which is global governance. And top-down government, they wanted that to be permanent. They wanted to use that as a stepping stone towards global governance. So they've been planning this for a while, and that's just one document. I mean, there's other documents that go back further than that, but that particular document covered exactly how it would be handled. That's why Alex Jones said, you know, whatever it was 15 years ago, you know, you're no longer going to be able to go to the baseball game, the football game. They're going to lock you down. He said all the things that actually happened. And it's on tape. Anybody can go look at it and listen to it and watch it and see it. Not make believe.
Oh man, did you happen to catch a quote from Mamdani the other day where he said it would make it? He would make it so every New Yorker gets a chance to go to the World Cup when it comes to New Jersey later, you know, this summer.
Sure. I believe that.
How do you do that? You're going to get every New Yorker deserves to be. It's a right that they get to see a soccer game. Somebody told him the tickets were $600. He said, that's unacceptable. We're going to make them affordable, readily, easily to get. And I want, you know, every New Yorker to be able to get a chance to go to a stadium that probably holds, 50,000 people? So you're going to get 10 million people. You're going to squeeze them in there?
Yeah. He's a big talker. He doesn't have the authority to do, 99% of the stuff he says he wants to do. He just doesn't have the authority to do it. So it's all a scam from every which way that you look at it. He's a scam and a fraud.
And you know, bus and subway fares just went up like yesterday.
That's
or a
right.
couple days
he
ago.
has no control over that either, because that's controlled by the state, not the city.
Well, he wanted to make it free, but instead of free, the reality is he's been in office for 7 days now, and guess what? They went up yesterday. You know.
Yeah, in his defense, it was already predetermined before he became.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's nothing he did. It's just he's have no control over it. You talk in the election like you have control over it, but you don't. Exactly. You have no control.
You nailed it, man. You got it.
Yeah. So we were talking about on Sunday night some predictions going into this year. What do you think will happen in the midterms? What's your forecasting pointing to?
I think that if we can secure the elections to be not fraudulent, we win no problem. If we can fix some of it, but not all of it, it's going to be a close call, but we'll win. If the globalists and the left are able to steal a lot of elections, they may be able to, they may be able to kind of take control. I will see. I'm more optimistic than pessimistic. I think we win because the Democrats are losing ground. Typically, though, after a president has, served the first portion or whatever of his second term, generally the other party, gets more people in. It just typically happens that way. But I don't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah, the swing years, the non-presidential election years, typically the party that's in power loses seats. But I hope Donald Trump goes out there and acts like this is his election. Like his presidency is on the line, whether or not they keep the House and they keep the Senate. And I hope he goes out there and treats it with all the urgency he would as if it was his very own election, and ensures that everyone out there in these swing seats get every penny, everything they could ever possibly dream of or wish for to ensure their success. And he makes it about him. They'll say he's not on the ballot. Well, he needs to put himself on the ballot. He say this is all about impeachment. If I'm going to be impeached again, they'll tie my hands for months, and I won't be able to get anything done, and it's just going to be a disaster. But they're going to do it the minute they can. All they need is 51 votes, so they're going to do it. Period. But it'll be a disaster for his second term. Not because it'll tarnish him or anything, but it'll just prevent him from getting things done. So he needs to really do that, and I think that he is enough of a fighter that he could win this and secure what he needs for the next 2 years to really get his agenda in place, you know?
That's exactly right, man. I agree with you. They won't cut him any slack, man. And in one of my forecasts, I said for 2026 that they're going to throw every wrench in the gears that they can to sabotage Trump, man. That's because they're hoping for a pendulum swing, which would mean them taking back the power in America. Then they could just finish all the good work that they've done with their Great Reset in all these other countries. They could put the nail in the coffin within just a few years.
Yeah. Or at least, put a wrench in the MAGA train.
Yes.
Guarantee that no legislation whatsoever gets passed for the next couple of years. That absolutely, if we want to try to make, voter ID happen, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
Clean up the elections, never. Get rid of the electronic counting machines, never. And I don't know, these things, we used to be able to count elections, on ballots the night of. Now we put them in these machines that are supposed to make it easier, and it takes 10 times longer. Explain that. Why do we have to wait 2 weeks now? We used to be able to do this night of, no problem. Now we get these fancy machines in there, and nothing works, and no one trusts it. And so get those things out of there. But those are the types of things that you just won't be able to accomplish if he loses.
Yeah. Oh, if he loses, man, 100%. But here's the good news: if we win, though, dude, and I just want to. From my forecast, man, it's real short, but it explains exactly what's at stake. So I say, yes, they will fight back in every way they can to keep us from reaching our ultimate victory. They understand, this is the key point, they understand that our ultimate victory means long-term defeat for them. So that's the opposite of, if they win, what it looks like for us, but if we win, what it looks like for them. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what's at stake. Is they know that if Trump gains all the momentum that he needs to gain and then Vance wins, single-handedly in 2028, they're set back for decades, man. Long-term defeat. Especially if he gets arrests. If he gets arrest indictments and convictions, then it's long-term defeat.
And the beauty of it, too, is America we all get to look around and see that free market policies work. And look how prosperous we are now all of a sudden. We went through this stagnation. The whole Biden year was just a disaster, his term, disaster. But then we turned it around in 4 short years, and suddenly we're back on track, making America just kick on every cylinder. And man, America's like a Lamborghini, man. You get that thing, let me take that back. It's like a Corvette. You get that thing out on the open highway and you open up the gas, man, it's a monster. It can fly. But we're not doing that. We're doing everything we can to kind of hinder the growth and expansion of America. Holding back, keeping the Corvette in third gear, second gear, instead of going up into fourth and fifth and, even six or 8? Holy cow, this thing's got 8 gears?
Well, you're 100% correct, man. Trump has secured some major victories and major wins, and I think it's best that he didn't just go all in, arresting all these people right off the bat, because that would have just, put his back up against the wall like nothing we could believe. But now he's actually getting the approval of more people, which when it actually does happen will be easier to do. It was strategic. Do you see what I'm saying? We're not ignoring arresting these people. He already did some indictments of them, but there's more to come and more severe indictments. Those were low-level indictments that he got most of those people on, not on treason, not on a coup, not on all the other things that most likely is going to happen. So if he had done that right out the bat, he would have been sabotaging himself, because they would have just come at him with everything they had. But now he's winning an army of people that hated him. They're now going to like him because he's doing great for the economy. He's, securing our border. He's securing win after win after win.
It's looking that way. I mean, it's going good so far. I got to say, I'm really happy. I think 2026 is going to be a banner year for the economy. I think if he follows my advice, stands a good chance of holding the House and the Senate, which would be phenomenal. And this year could end up being, it's the 250-year anniversary of America this year. And I would use that as the president to do everything I can to just try to instill some patriotism in Americans, to try to get them to read a little bit about our history, to get them to understand a little bit more than what they think they know, so they can understand that this is a great country that was built on really noble ideas. But anyway, folks, we're all out of time. This has been the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, and we will see you on Sunday night. You've been listening to Censorship Sucks, and this has been a Dragus production.